You think all these different subsets within the Asian subcontinent could actually stomach living next door to each other? Some of them can't stomach it now. But you think they could properly stomach it unless they were Muslims? These people are Muslim. It's the only reason why they can live together. So salvation has been given. So Allah is telling you, hold on to the rope of Allah, and He gives you what all those things are. And la tufarraqu, do not become cults and sects. Stay away from them. Imam Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says, quote, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدَعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ وَأُولَئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ وُجُوهٌ وَتَسْوَدُّ وُجُوهٌ فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ ابْيَضَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ فَفِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ هم فيها خالدون تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين. Let there be an ummah from among you, calling to the good, commanding with righteousness, and forbidding from wrong. They are the successful ones. Do not be like those who broke into cults and differed after what came of them of the clear signs. They are the ones that have the great punishment and wrath indeed. On the day in which some faces will be brightened and some faces will be darkened. Those whose faces are darkened, it will be said, have you disbelieved after your iman? So taste the wrath of that which you had been denying. As far as those whose faces were lightened, they are in the mercy of Allah. They shall be therein forever in all eternity. These are the signs of Allah that we recite upon you with truth, and Allah is never doing and never intends oppression towards the creation. Surah Al Imran, ayat 104 to 108. Let there be an ummah from you, a nation from you, meaning let all of you be those who call to the good and command with the righteousness. Now, what is this referring to? When you're being told, let there be an ummah from you, meaning let all of you be like this. Let all of you be in this state. Further to this, look at what Allah has said. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You are the best nation ever brought forward for humanity. You enjoin the righteousness and forbid from the wrong. So even though it's referring to a group of people, it means the whole ummah. It means the whole ummah. And all of the creation are not scholars. All of the people are not scholars, but the knowledge has been delineated. Sometimes there is jihad, sometimes it is the knowledge, sometimes it is the good deeds. And they command people with goodness. So this ummah commands with goodness, meaning Islam. And also to act by the obedience of Allah. And the goodness and righteousness, it is what is known to be goodness and righteousness. And the opposite of it is sinfulness. So obedience to Allah and His disobedience are the opposite ends of those areas. And don't be like those who became cults and divided. It's referring, number one, to the Jews and Christians, as mentioned by Ibn Abbas. And number two, it is referring to the Haruriyya, the first sect that appeared of the Khawarij. On a day that faces will be brightened and some faces will be darkened, Allah has told you that at that time there will be punishment to come. Those with lightened faces, Ibn Abbas says, they're the people of the paradise and they are Muslim orthodoxy, Ahlul Sunnah. And those with darkened faces are the people of bid'ah and innovation. Those who have darkened faces, there are 5 things about them that need to be understood. It's everyone who disbelieves in Allah after his iman, when the covenant of Allah was taken. Secondly, they are the Haruriyya Khawarij. Thirdly, they are the Jews. Fourthly, they are the hypocrites who externally are acting upon Islam, but internally they disbelieve. Fifthly, they are all people of innovation who are under the threat. Close quote. So just a very quick point then. This ayah, there's actually a hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari regarding the Haruriyya and other Khawarij. Abu Umama radiallahu anh saw the steps of the Umayyad rulers and saw the heads of the Khawarij on the steps, the Haruriyya. And he was crying. And one of the men said, "Why are you crying over these people, the people of innovation? They've been rightly punished and executed for their wickedness." He says, "Because they're people who did great worship, but they were astray and they were wrong. And they're the worst of creation." And he recited this particular ayah, ayah 106 of Surah Al Imran, the 3rd surah. He recited this ayah. One of the people that this ayah applies to is the Khawarij. Whether we're calling the Haruriyya or today's Salafiyya, it applies to them. And it's a general ruling. So the general ruling on the cults in general is that they are kuffar. They are kafirs in a general sense. While individuals among them, that's different. But in a general sense, Ahmadiyya, Hizb ut-Tahrir, Salafiyya, they're all kuffar in a general sense. Because their basic structure is coming from shaitan. And the basic root of those organizations is major kufr. So the general rubric that all those people fall under is one of major kufr. That doesn't mean that every single person within them is a kafir. But it means that its end result, what it will lead you to, is the fire for all eternity, these groups. Because they are cults and they do the opposite. So Hizb ut-Tahrir rejecting the punishment of the grave and other things, their leadership, their structure. Even though people within them might not reject the punishment of the grave. But because they're with them, they may suffer some punishment. The Khawarij, aka Salafiyya, they reject things from Allah. They say things about salvation that are wrong. They liken Allah to His creation. They reject the true salvation that's been revealed and handed down infallibly. Do all of them do that? No. But the threat is still there. The threat is still there. Ahmadiyya, the threat is still there. All cults, the threat is still there. And so that's what has to be understood. That's why the hadith from Abu Umama in Al-Bukhari is so important. Because it's a general warning. That's why you just look at the ayah. Have you disbelieved after your iman? This is a proof that it's talking about people who were Muslim. Have you disbelieved after, do the idol worshippers have, no, they don't have iman. You disbelieved after your iman? That's what it's talking. It's one of the prophetic ayat about the Khawarij. And Ahlul Bid'ah in general, the people of the cults in general. That's why it's such a severe thing. And you have to obey the Prophet ﷺ's advice when he said, "Alaykum bis sawad al-a'zam," in the hadith and al-Mustadrak and al-Hakim and other collections, al-Kitab al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih of al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, when the Prophet ﷺ says, you must stay in the vast majority. For shaitan looks for the lone sheep, and he is further from the 2 and the 3. So when you find these little groups, and they always have to name themselves and break off and give themselves a fresh name, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Salafiyya, whatever they are, they always give themselves a nice name to differentiate themselves from the main body of the rest of the Sunni Muslims. And these are the dangerous people. Ahlul Sunnah, Muslim Orthodoxy, this name stands. This is the name that was given to us by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Jama'ah, As-Sawad al-A'adam, Ahlul Sunnah, Al-Jama'ah, all these titles given to us by him or the companions. The rest of these groups, Hizb ut-Tahrir was a name given in 1953. Salafiyya was a name given in 1905. Ahmadiyya was a name given in the 1850s. Right? All these names came after. That's the whole point that we want to know with all these groups that broke off. Who named you? Ahlul Sunnah, Allah, His Messenger, and His companion, they named us. That's what we're following. I don't know what you're following. But what we're following, we were named by the person that received the revelation. We're named by them. Who named you? You. Well, that's the classic case that you're from bid'ah, is you had to name yourselves. Who started you? The Prophet ﷺ was responsible for talking about Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ibn Abbas spoke about Ahlul Sunnah. All these people use the expression Ahlul Sunnah, Muslim orthodoxy, and it's been handed down. That's who's responsible. We can't say that about these other groups. 1800s, 1300s, Ahmadiyya, Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, Salafiyya, Abdul Aziz ibn Saud, these different groups, Muhammad Abduh, Muhammad Rashid Rida. All these different groups were named by someone else way after the fact. So why should we follow them? We shouldn't. We should stay in the Jama'ah that we're already in. Remember Allah's warning? Hold on to the rope of Allah. Do not become cults and sects. Stay with them. I don't care what they're inviting you to, whether it's Pope John Paul, Benedict, whoever. Hold on to the rope of Allah. Are you Ahlul Sunnah? Did the Rasul name you? Well, no, we did. Okay, well then I don't need to follow you then. It's not enough to just to say, oh, well, we're from Ahlul Sunnah. Really? Did he name your group? Did he name Hizb ut-Tahrir? Well, no, we didn't. Then I don't need to follow you then. No, it's okay. I don't want the Hizb ut-Tahrir handbook. I don't need it. Because he didn't name you. He named us. This is why it's very important. Now we come to the last statement of Ibn Al-Jawzi, which is the last ayah on this page. He says, quote, and so when Allah says, has it the case that you've disbelieved after your iman? This is showing that, and it is a clear proof that this is referring to all the kuffar, those who believed on the day the covenant was taken, then they disbelieved. But when we say that it's also referring to the Haruriyah and all of the people of innovation in the cults, they've disbelieved after their iman, and they broke ranks with the vast majority in their theology. And when we say that these people are the Jews, because they believed in the Prophet before he was sent, then they disbelieved after he came. And when we say that those in this ayah are the hypocrites, it's because they say with their tongues of the Islam and speak of it, but they deny with their hearts and they reject it. And so then Allah says, so taste the punishment of that which is to come. Meaning that they are to taste of, to wallow in it, to have it. Now, as far as those whose faces are brightened, they're the believers. And the mercy of Allah is His paradise. And the paradise of Allah has been called by Him as His rahmah, because entrance into the paradise is by His mercy. This is the reward that has been given, His mercy. This is the truth of the matter. These are the signs of Allah, which we recite them to you in truth, and Allah does not want oppression for the creation. What this means is, He, Allah, does not punish without right. He punishes those who are deserving of punishment and wrath. Close quote. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم الحمد الرحيمين. So we have reached ayah 108 of Surah Al Imran. We got from ayah 100 to ayah 108. This is pregnant with meanings in different ayat and different principles and proofs. These passages that you read from ayah 102 all the way down to 108, these are passages that are sometimes called passages of redemption and salvation. This is telling you the origin, the proofs behind where the salvation is coming from. That's why it says that these people that are believers, they enter into His rahmah. What's His rahmah? His paradise. Why? Because you only get in there with His rahmah. Not because I'm the 51% good Muslim. Oh, I got really good grades, I got good GCSE. That's not where you're going in. Well, how do you get the rahmah of Allah? I mean, can you purchase it? Do you buy it? Is it online? Is it eBay? I mean, how do you get it? Well, is something that comes from La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's how you get it. Because look at the ayah. Hold on to the rope of Allah altogether. Do not difference cults. And then it says, then remember the favor of Allah upon you when you were enemies. Then he put favor and goodness between your hearts, and you became by His mercy brothers. And you were on the pit of the fire, and then He gave you salvation from it. That's showing the testimony of faith is a salvation. That's showing you that's what it is. So when someone comes and says, well, I'm the 51% good Muslim, that's why I'm going in. No. This story of Al-Hakim should really put things in perspective. One of the men from the children of Israel, he was a Muslim, worshipped Allah for 500 years. Day of resurrection comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Udkhulul Jannah bi rahmati, enter the paradise with my mercy. He says, La bi'amali, no, with my deeds. So Allah says, so let the matter be brought to account. And the angel is brought and he says, now weigh his deeds. And he weighs the man's deeds. 500 years of worship. And the angel says, Allah, there are 500 years of worship here. And Allah says, and what is the favor that I have told you of 500 years of worship? Well, that's the rahmah. That is the favor of being able to see. And just because of one look that he had cast towards another man, that had wiped out all of his deeds. Because of one wrong look. And Allah said, now put him in the fire. And the man said, no, birahmatika, 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 with your mercy, with your mercy, with your mercy. You see, people want to play games. They believe they're that 51% good Muslim. But be real with yourself. The salvation of Allah is why Allah has promised the paradise. Well, why do we do the good deeds and everything else? Because Allah told you to and you show obedience to Him. I'm yours. Yes, Lord. I've saved you. I dusted you off. I gave you salvation. You were dead. I gave you life. I forgave your sins. You're going to see me on the day of resurrection. I've accepted your deeds. You'll never be punished in the fire for all eternity. You have a direct relationship with me. Now, these are the things I want you to do. Yes, Lord. Stand ramrod straight at attention in your salah. Yes, Lord. And that's why you do these things. Because Allah told you, I want you to do these things. It's not because, well, I might just be able to just skim by the door of the paradise while it's shutting. You've seen people try to get on the tube in London, the doors are just closing. They try to get on that train, that last train headed out, and they turn to the side and they try to pivot their shoulder just the right way. So they're that last passenger that gets in. Passenger 59 of the paradise. Forget that. You're not going to be that one. The paradise is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But people are arranged in the paradise in ranks according to their deeds. So you find the mujahid, the Prophet ﷺ mentioning them, and hadith about the mujahid having 72 crowns and his rank being high. But then the people that are reciters of the Quran and memorize, they're being higher. The ulama, they're high. Other people, they're high. There are people that have different ranks in the paradise. But they're all going in. Whether the person has no deeds. The Jewish man in Bukhari, remember, he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, died. Didn't bend his back in one rak'ah of salah. But the Prophet ﷺ said, Alhamdulillahi alladhi anqadahu min an-nar. Praise be to Allah who gave him salvation from the fire. He's going in. Well, he doesn't even have any deeds. Yes, that's the point, genius. That's the point. The testimony of faith, the mercy of Allah is the reason why he's going in. So he'll go in with nothing but that. That's fine. Others go in with that and additional things. But the point is they're all going in. Because of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So coming away from all of this, that's part of what you should remember. And remember about the people of innovation. I know you're being told that we're all in the same gang, all the oxen free, everyone get on the train, everyone's the same. But you remember this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith in Ibn Majah, quote, the people of innovation have no testimony of faith, no salah, no fasting, no hajj. Do not visit them when they are ill. Do not pray on them when they die. Does that sound ecumenical to you? Sounds really serious. مَنْ وَقَّرَ صَاحِبَ بِدْعَةٍ فَقَدْ عَانَ لَهَدْمَ الْإِسْلَامِ. Whoever honors a person of innovation has helped to destroy Islam. Hadith in Sahih al-Jami. It's not a light matter. So this business of Sunni and Shia or Sunni, it's serious business. We need to know who's who and who's rolling with who. We need to know. I'm sorry to put it in such vagrant terms, but it's important. I'm not trying to be flippant. It's important because there's so many ahadith like this. I mean, that's a clear one. The Prophet ﷺ said the person of innovation has no shahada. There's la ilaha illallah. It's not accepted from him. His salah isn't. His zakah isn't. His hajj isn't. His fasting isn't. When he's ill, don't visit him. When he dies, don't pray on him. That is serious. Allah has made us very... Why? Because these are people after their iman. They corrupted the testimony of faith of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Broke with the jama'ah. These rebellious sheep, goats if you will, broke from the jama'ah. So stay with the vast majority. والحمد لله رب العالمين أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يرحمني الراحمين. Now we've covered a number of ayat and Allah has blessed us. Is there any question over what we've covered so far today? Question for yes.
You know, you're talking about like Salah and when you're teaching kids, you teach them to pray Fajr and Maghrib. Is that the same way you go about new Muslims and people that haven't been praying and they want to get back into praying? Do we advise them to read Fajr and Maghrib first?
Question is regarding when you're teaching children salawat and you start with Fajr and Maghrib because those were the first salawat revealed. Do we take the same position with new Muslims or with Muslims who were wayward and came back? Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. With children and new Muslims, yes indeed. You take this position, you start them off. Some ulama say you start them with the first salah. Some ulama have said if they're able to and they show the desire to, you start them off straight away when they're with you. So yes, let's start off. So they get used to it. They're around you. As for the person that was a wayward Muslim and came back, well, that depends. If they prayed sometimes and other times didn't pray, they would have to do qada of those salawat. And so we wouldn't necessarily do that with them. We would try to get them to start off with doing the 5. Or to get them to do, we'd start them with the hardest ones to do the 5 because they would have to do qada of those. If they never prayed at all in the whole duration of their life, yet they were under the rubric of Islam, those people would be treated as murtads or apostates and treated as new Muslims or kuffar. And we bring them back into Islam and start them off with Maghrib and Fajr because they'd be treated like apostates because they never did anything for once they came into the deen. So we would take, it would depend upon the condition of that person. But for new Muslims, children, yes, we take an approach that is, because once they get those 2 harder ones down, they're only 2 rak'ah, then 3 rak'ah. Once they get those down, then the other 3 easy. Dhuhr and Asr, those are easy. Asr's 4 rak'ah, that's just in the daytime. Allahu Akbar, 4 rak'ahs, 2 before, 2 after Dhuhr, 2 before Dhuhr, 2 after Dhuhr, easy, right? Isha, fairly easy because it's coming right after Maghrib. Oh, that's when everyone's settled down just before bed. Allahu Akbar, easy, okay? But Fajr, that's a soldier salah. Got to get up early, have to have the alarm set, can't sleep through it, you can't keep pressing snooze because you miss it. Especially in summertime when there's like a 3-hour gap between Isha and Fajr, no snooze. You have to put that alarm on no snooze, disable it because you'll miss it. It's like blinking, you miss it. You say, okay, I've got a little while. You blink and then it's sunrise. You think, how did this happen? So you have to be mindful of it. And people who have come back to Islam after being in the wilderness, they have to be shown slowly but surely. Yes? Is there another question? Yes?
Earlier you spoke about there's a comparison between the holy sites, the sanctity of Medina and Mecca. Does that, so the comparison that the example that you gave of the scholar who talks about the Roda, was it just the Roda specifically being the most sanctified area? And also, just to branch off, did Qadi Ayat mention something along these lines as well? As-Shifa.
Question is regarding the statement of Imam Abu Ja'far Ibn Aqil when he was asked about the difference between Mecca and Medina and the Rawda was mentioned, and whether Al-Qadi Iyad mentioned something similar in his Ash-Shifa. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. What Al-Qadi Abu Wafa Ibn Aqil was referring to is he was referring to the difference between, he first of all defined terms by making the difference between Mecca and Medina as cities, saying Mecca being superior. But if you include within that the Rawdah, who is in the Rawdah, the Prophet ﷺ, because he's the one that's in there, if you include that, no, that is better than anywhere else in the creation. So that's what he meant. As for the statement of Al-Qadi Iyad, whether he used the same statement, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to check it. I don't know. But Imam Abu Wafa Ibn Aqil were definite, because he discussed this, because he was asked this on a number of occasions, because people would come and they would dispute about these matters. This is a dispute that happens now today. People will ask you what's better, Mecca or Medina, or what's better. Well, again, you have to define terms. If you exempted the Rawdah from this, you're going to say, well, obviously Mecca because of all these other things. But if you include the Rawdah, and it's like, no, of course, the Prophet ﷺ, who's buried in state at the Rawdah, of course he's better. No dispute about that. So it's a matter of defining terms. Yes? Is there another question? Yes.
I mean, maybe before you saying there was 70 prophets buried in Masjid al-Haram.
Yes.
Elaborate.
Okay, the question is regarding when I stated there are 70 prophets buried in Al-Masjid Al-Haram. What data we have on them? Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Their names are mentioned in history books. So I would have to gather those details. For a surety, the Prophet Ismail alayhi salam and his mother Hajara alayhi salam, they're in state. The other prophets, I would need to gather that, and I could probably research that and bring that back. Because it's something that's been mentioned, but unfortunately the spots were paved over when they did some of the work in 1925. Those spots were sort of paved over, but they are still in state unless they've uninterred them and moved them. I hope not, but because that would bring Allah's la'nah, because the Prophet's buried wherever he dies. But in general, they're still in state there. I have to gather the names, because numerous prophets, the 124,000 prophets, so we don't always know the names of all of them, or the names may be unfamiliar to us, but they're definitely buried in state there. Yes? Yes?
Sorry to take your time, Sheikh. I want to ask you about a narration that I heard about Sayyidina Ali from our original. The narration that I heard was that Sayyidina Ali was born inside of the Kaaba. What can you elaborate on that? What actually happened at that time, and who repaired, if anybody did, any human being repaired the Kaaba?
Could I just make a follow-up to that? Because it's like I heard that Ali was born in the Kaaba. Do you know the Rukni Al-Yamani? The reason why it always remains cracked is because of the miracle where apparently they escaped through that corner. And do you know, it's like when they try to heal it up, it always used to crack, and that's why they keep on reforming and healing it up. It's the same thing I've heard. And I just wanted to know
The question is regarding what about Ali radiallahu anh being born in the Kaaba, and that the Yemeni Yemeni Rukn having a crack in it because there was one point where they escaped through it, and how authentic this is. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I do not know the answer to those questions, and I would need to do further research on them. I've heard of these matters, but I don't know the answer to that question. So I would need to research that and look it up in some depth, because I've heard of it, but I can't say that I have definite knowledge for or against. I would need to research that, bring that back, and then inshallah when I have that information I can speak on it with surety. But for now I can't speak on it at all because I don't have any proof. Yes. Is there a final question before we wrap up? No? Okay. If there's no final question, then inshallah next week we will start from ayah 109. Ayah 109 and 110 of Surah Al Imran, inshallah. And we are close to the end of the surah, so we are moving very quickly. So inshallah we'll start from next week, and inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our du'as. Please remember the other slaves of Allah throughout the world, wherever they are, because there's a lot of difficulties going on. Please remember these slaves. سبحانك اللهم وحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك إنه غفور رحيم. السلام عليكم.